However many words you have.
All right, we'll jump right in. Hi, everyone. This is Ryan Wilkins from the Blue Dot Energy Group. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm so thankful to be here with two leading candidates, Democratic candidates, to be our city's next mayor, and that's John Ewing and Jasmine Harris. John is a longtime public servant with deep roots in Omaha. As a former Douglas County treasurer and deputy chief of police, John has dedicated his career to financial stewardship, public safety, and community engagement. He's now running for mayor to bring experienced leadership and a vision for a stronger, more inclusive Omaha. And we also have Jasmine Harris. Jasmine is a dedicated advocate for public health, equity, and community-driven solutions. With a background in nonprofit leadership and policy reform, Jasmine has worked tirelessly to improve access to healthcare, education, and economic opportunity. She's running for mayor to ensure that every Omaha resident has a voice in shaping our city's future. You all hopefully know by now that I'm Ryan from the Blue Dot Energy Group. We are here with an opportunity to hear directly from candidates on key issues. And it's no coincidence that John and Jasmine are here as the members, as the two candidates that our members are again and again go back to as their leading candidates that they want to hear from in this important election. So please join me in extending them the appreciation and respect that they deserve for being here, and also our admiration and gratitude for putting themselves out there and putting the time and effort that it takes to run for this important office. So we'll get things started now with a brief introduction from each candidate. Then we'll have some prepared questions, and if time permits, we'll also consider and select questions dropped into the chat in YouTube. So with that, let's go ahead and start. I don't know if we actually talked about who will go first, but Mr. Ewing, John, if you're willing to get started, just introduce yourself. There's a lot of people in our group. This will be their first chance to actually hear from you themselves.
Ryan, thank you for having us. Thank you for setting this up. And to the folks who are listening, thank you for taking your time to hear from us and learn more as you make one of the most important investments that you can make as a citizen of the United States, and that's your vote. I'm John Ewing, your Douglas County treasurer, and I'm proud to be a person who's been able to serve you my entire adult career. One of the things I'm really proud of is that I'm the first and still only African-American to ever win a countywide election, and that's because of you and you voting for me. I've also had the highest vote totals the last two election cycles, in 2018 by 2,000 votes and in 2022 by 15,000 votes. So thank you for your votes in the past, and I hope I have the opportunity to earn your vote on April 1st and May 13th.
Hey, thank you, John. And Jasmine, we'd love to hear from you too in your introduction to our viewers.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to address everybody from the Blue Dot Group and everyone else who has tuned in this evening. My name is Jasmine Harris. I am a long-term native of North Omaha, still here raising my family. I am running to be the mayor for the people of Omaha. This isn't a career move for me. This isn't something that I just decided to do. In 2021, I ran to be mayor of Omaha, and I was 1,100 votes shy of advancing to the general to go against Gene Stothert. So for me, this is about continuing the momentum and the movement that we created, because we see every day that business as usual is not working for any of our residents here in Omaha. And I'm here to make sure that our voices are heard and that the vision that we have for Omaha is at the center. So what I'm hoping for is your support and being able to advance from the primary this time around and going into the general, because we can't continue down the pathway of business as usual because it's not working and we're all suffering because of it. I am a public policy advocate, a public health professional, and my career has been about community and ensuring that those people who have issues are making sure their voices are centered and their solutions are on the table to make sure that we are advancing our city in the best ways possible. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a ton, Jasmine, and thank you, John. Our first question will start with Jasmine this time, but it's directed to both of you. And that is, during elections, the public often comes to recognize a candidate's name, their face, and maybe even a policy position or two if we're lucky. But we seldom get to know a candidate as a person. So our question to you is, outside of politics, what is one role or life experience that is important to you? and how might it inform your work as our mayor?
Thank you for that question, Ryan. Doing all of these debates and forums and panels, that has never been one of them. And for me, one of the biggest positions that I hold right now is being a mom. I'm a mom of three. My oldest is 23. My youngest are 11 and three quarters, because it might be 7/8 now. She'll be 12 in April and 10. And so for me, that really is one of the biggest positions that I hold, because they are the ones who keep me grounded. They're the ones who shows me that you can never stop learning, that it's always going to be something that you see from individuals that will change your perspective and make sure that you know exactly what is on someone's mind, because they don't have filters that young. um, and so for me, as we went and traveled to Chicago the last summer, they were there and they said, Mom, can we leave Omaha? Like, we can we go to college somewhere else, because we don't think Omaha is it. And that really struck me. And so for me, that is what I key into, really, ensuring that, one, you all know that I am an everyday person who navigates the city like anyone else, and who struggles with those thoughts of, like, my youngest too saying they want to leave Omaha. And also being a criminal justice reform advocate and seeing that people who are trying to reintegrate back into our community don't have the things that they necessarily need. And how do all of these things come together to ensure that I am working to create an Omaha where my kids can be proud of, and where other folks can say, I am here and I want to change the trajectory of my family. So that really is one of the biggest roles for me.
Thanks, Jasmine. And John, same question for you.
Sure. For me, it's all of my family roles, to be quite honest. I have been married to my wife for 40 years. She's my sweetheart. We've been calling each other that for the whole time that we've been married. We've known each other about almost 43 years now. We met each other at UNO, and she's always been one of my best friends. And now she's been my best friend for the last 40 years, and really just an amazing woman who gives me the support and encouragement I need, as well as the correction and all of those things that wives do to help you be the best person that you can be. I love being a father. I've got two girls, 37 and 33, and they are just wonderful young women. And one of the things that has always motivated me is having them be able to have successful careers in Omaha, Nebraska, the city I grew up in, the city that I love, in the city that I've been serving for 43 years. We also just had our first grandchild about 19 months ago now. And that is something that I've heard people say it, and I absolutely believe it now, that it's your reward for being a parent. So I'm excited to carry on that role and watch all of the progress he makes from crawling. We were in Atlanta a few months ago, and we came back home, and it was probably about 11 o'clock at night. And he saw me as I came in the garage door, and he just started crawling across the floor at like 100 miles an hour. And the funny thing about it, before we left, he was struggling to crawl. And so 4 or 5 days later, he's crawling across the floor at 100 miles an hour. And it just, warms your heart when you see those things. And then, of course, one of my goals has always been to make my mom and dad proud. My mom and dad are 87 and almost 84, and they are just wonderful people who gave me a tremendous foundation for loving people, serving people, and just being the best person I could be, and always trying to make them proud so that they can say, yes, that's my son. So that's important to me, as well as being a husband, being a father, and being a grandfather. Then, of course, I have my brother and sister as well, who are just awesome people. I always laugh because my brother was in the Navy for 20 years. And after he retired, he could have retired anywhere he wanted. And he came back to Omaha. So Omaha is our city. It's a place we love. It's a place we hold dear. And even after 20 years, my brother came back to the city that he loves as well. Now he's the executive director of the Great Plains Black History Museum. So we love Omaha. And that's why I'm running for mayor, because I believe we need a mayor who loves Omaha, who loves the people, and who has done everything they can to ensure that we have a safe community, that we have a community that works for everyone. I've been on about 70 community service boards and organizations and led some of them at a national level, which I'll talk more about in this conversation. But that's what motivates me every day is family and being able to impact this amazing city and the people.
Terrific. Thank you both. I'm going to nix my next question and ask instead one that just came in from an audience member because I think it's really interesting. It's a hypothetical, but a happy one. So suppose that we just learned that the city of Omaha received a $10 million grant to use for the city any way we want. What would you do with it and why? And let's start with Mr. Ewing for this one.
Well, thank you. That would be a wonderful thing if we did receive the $10 million. I would look at trying to look at how we could build capacity for some of our housing agencies so we can really start moving toward decent and affordable housing. I would look at how we could take and build partnerships and expand on partnerships for those who are homeless and unsheltered. I would look at how we could take and utilize that money for economic development opportunities in North and South Omaha. And I would look at how we could do things in the arena of public safety to be able to make sure that we have a city that is continuing to be safer and safer. And then certainly we always have to make sure that we look at taking care of our people who are less fortunate, who need something to eat, who need clothing, who need the basics of life. I'm a firm believer in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we can't get people the basic needs and the basic security that they need in order to grow, then we're not going to be able to help them actualize and reach their fullest potential. So everything I do is about helping people be able to get those basic needs met so that they have an opportunity then to go on to have a greater life.
Thank you. And Jasmine, same question.
Thanks for that question. I think that's pretty interesting. If we got a $10 million grant, I want to make sure that we are putting it in front of the people. I am all about participatory budgeting. And what that means is that the people of Omaha get an opportunity to say, how are we going to use this money? We have all the things that we put as our priorities, right? Public safety, transportation, economic development, and also safe, healthy, and affordable housing. Those are my key things. That has to be prioritized from general funds for me. So if we got a $10 million grant, I want to put that in front of the people to say, what is important to you? And how can we ensure that you are at the table to say, these are the projects that we want to put first and that the money should go towards? When we look at, the development of different areas in our city, I want to make sure that we have actual people who are living in those communities saying, this is the money that's going to invest in what we believe the solutions are for our area of the city. I am a firm believer that those people who are going through the problems are closest to the solutions because they know how it impacts their daily lives. And so for me, participatory budgeting is really important. And I want to make sure that when we get grants like that for $10 million, that it's in front of the people of Omaha because our future really depends on their ideas.
Thank you, Jasmine. The next question is a little out of left field, but it deals with Omaha Public Schools. We have tons of students in this city that are thriving, teachers that are excellent, dedicated, and schools that are doing really well. But as a system, Omaha Public Schools is struggling. Years ago, the president of the Omaha Chamber of Commerce told me that the single greatest obstacle to him as he tries to recruit businesses to our city is Omaha Public Schools. Specifically, companies are concerned that workers won't want to live here and they'll lack a qualified worker pool because OPS can't meet their demands. Last year, according to the World Herald, fewer than 1/3 of OPS elementary students scored as proficient in reading, and fewer than 1/4 scored as proficient in math. We know OPS is governed by its own independent board and not the mayor or the mayor's office. But given the importance of the issue to Omaha and its future, what, if anything, might you do as mayor to help improve the situation? And we would start this one with Jasmine.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate the question. Like you said, the mayor doesn't control OPS, right? But it's all about partnerships. It's all about ensuring that we are working towards developing the workforce that we need that is going to address the issues of our future. In the work that I do, and I'm all about trying to ensure that we're removing barriers for folks to get careers and jobs, right? So we have to look at what there is right now. We talk about high skill, high demand, high wage jobs. From my generation, it was always put upon us that you have to go to college. You have to go to college. College is a piece of it. Higher education is a piece of it. But for folks who do not want to go to college, it is the skills trade. And we need to make sure that we are working with our public school systems to ensure that we have pipelines into those skills trades. I remember when I first learned that that diesel techs make six figures, and I said, "Whoa, no one talked to us about diesel techs making six figures when we were in high school." And I promise you, if that was something that was presented to us, there would be a lot of diesel techs right now. So we need to make sure that we are working with the school systems to ensure that people know what careers are out there, how that manifests into their lives for the future, and ensuring that we have those pipelines. We have to work with our unions and trades when we're talking about apprenticeship jobs. I remember getting the information and trying to present this into folks who we work with. When you can get an apprenticeship on the job training for being a plumber, for doing HVAC, we really have to ensure that we're looking at those pipelines and creating those opportunities for people. It has to be put out in front of them. So as mayor, I will capitalize on the partnerships that we can create within our public school systems. I get it. My children are in Omaha public schools right now, and their future for me is really important. And I have to ensure that they have pathways that are going to ensure that they can advance whatever choices they make in life to become successful young people. And that's what we're about, because we have to maintain our young people here and making sure that their options are wide.
Thank you, Jasmine. And John, same question.
Sure. I've already met with Superintendent Ray and talked about what the partnership should look like, because I believe in doing the work and being ahead of the curve. So that's what I've done. And we also have some great partnerships with the Omaha Public Schools, with Metropolitan Community College. Also, I'm the vice president of the Empowerment Network Board, and we've been working with the Omaha Public Schools in a program called Cradle to Careers for the last 17 or 18 years. So we're looking at doing those types of things that Matt and I talked about. We also had a group of us that met with him as well, so that we could assure him that we support the Omaha Public Schools. The Omaha Public Schools is the most important educational group that we have in this state, because they educate more young people than anybody else. So we have to ensure that Omaha Public Schools has the support they need, the resources that they need in order to be successful. And that's what I talked to Superintendent Ray about. And that's what we're going to do, is build those partnerships with him, and then bring external partners together as well, so that we can ensure that the education our young people are getting does apply directly to the opportunity to have careers. And so we've had those discussions, and we're going to get the work done.
Awesome. Thank you. And I have now one question directed to each of you individually, but for reasons that will be apparent, it's not directed to both of you. But starting with you, John, whether you are our next mayor or not, you've already had an incredible career in public service, including nearly 25 years with the Omaha Police Department. I want to start by thanking you for that and for your service to our city. There are members of our group, though, that have mixed feelings about Omaha Police Department, or maybe even worse, maybe the result of either personal or family or loved ones' experiences that may have involved aggression or racism or lack of transparency and accountability. How would you respond to members of the group who have concerns about your candidacy just based on your extensive service with Omaha Police?
I'm glad somebody finally asked the question, Ryan, instead of making assumptions about me. So, what I would like to do is answer the question this way and talk about what I did during my time at the Omaha Police Department. At the Omaha Police Department, I served for 24 years and 9 months. During that time, I had zero citizen complaints because I believe the most important thing you can do in any interaction is treat people with dignity and respect. So that is my number one leadership principle. That's what I've always done in my 43 years of public service. Secondly, as a sergeant with the Omaha Police Department, I was responsible for the crime prevention unit for 5 years. During that time, I created the school resource officer program at West Side, then South, and then North High School in order to ensure that our young people were safe in their schools, because we had seen some of the shootings and other things in other school districts, and I wanted to help keep our young people safe. That has since expanded to the Omaha Public Schools and the other school districts in Omaha, as well as within the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. But another part of that was to help young people build relationships of trust with police officers. Because the reality is, we've got to have the police department. What we want is to have the police department and the community working together in order to have a safe community where we are working together and having mutual respect for each other. As the lieutenant of the Special Victims Unit, I was able to get 10 laws passed to protect women and children from some of the things that I was seeing that were being charged as misdemeanors. One example is that strangulation in Nebraska was a misdemeanor. And I was able to get that changed to be a felony here in Nebraska, to be able to protect women. And I did that in 2004. So that means since 2004, 21 years, women have been protected. I also was able to get the statute of limitations removed. So if one of our young people was sexually assaulted, they would be able to come forward whenever their healing process was done, so that they could share their story and prosecution could still occur. As a deputy chief, my first meeting as a deputy chief, I was made aware of the fact that pregnant women and teenagers were being tased, and that people were being laid in the street for routine traffic stops and on the hood of cruisers. I put a stop to that immediately that day and had the other deputy chiefs and the chief agree that was not how we were going to do policing in Omaha, Nebraska. As a deputy chief, I risked my career and actually joined the Empowerment Network group as the co-chair of the Crime Prevention Covenant in order to look at ways that we could reduce violence in our community. With that effort, we've reduced gun violence in this community by 70% and have been named one of 4 model communities by President Barack Obama's foundation. And quite honestly, we have made significant progress on all 6 of the measures that they have. That's how I did policing in Omaha, Nebraska for almost 25 years. And some people might be wondering why I didn't get the police union endorsement. Well, part of the reason I probably didn't get it is because I believe holding police officers accountable is the way that we have to do business. And we have to ensure that our police officers are public servants and serve the people of this community. So that's how I would lead as mayor as well, is holding them accountable for the actions that they take. Even here in Omaha, when we've had issues, we as the Empowerment Network have addressed those issues publicly about the Omaha Police Department. That's how I lead, Brian. That's what I did as an Omaha police officer. You need good people willing to do that very difficult job in order to ensure safety for all the people of our community. Thank you for the
Hey,
opportunity.
thank you, John. Thank you for your openness to addressing a slightly more
Absolutely.
sensitive question. And Jasmine, for you, money has very little to do with the quality of a candidate, but it is a sad political reality that it's difficult to compete without a lot of it. At last check, Jean Stothert had more than $700,000 on cash toward her reelection campaign, which would represent a more than 100-to-1 advantage over what you have right now. What would you say to those who admire you and believe in you, but who fear that it's not realistic for you to defeat a popular incumbent like Jean Stothert when she has such a significant fundraising advantage at this point?
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you for whoever sent that question in. For me, it's more than money, right? When you look at who a candidate is, what they stand for, what they're going to do, what they have done, it's more than money. When we are talking to folks, when we're doing call time, we're meaning me. What I hear is, yeah, I donated because I'm scared. I don't want to run a city because people fear that if they don't donate to me, that they won't be considered and centered and heard. I am all about people. When you look at my campaign from 2021, we raised more than what we have raised this time. And I know why we're not raising as much as this time because there are two Democrats in the race and folks are conflicted. That's why we have this town hall right now, right? People are trying to decide who do they want to support, who they want to get behind, who do they want to give the money to. We spent $11 per vote when you look at Gene Stothard and RJ Neary from last time. $11 per vote because this is about ground roots and people who are on the ground who are making sure that they have their voices heard. When I tell folks literally $5 counts, $10 counts, that's what we're getting in. When you look at the reports of who has donated, I have not got money from corporate interests, special interests. The support that I get is from actual everyday people who are saying, I support you. I believe in you because I know you are going to hold what I have to say to heart. We have had over 350 individual donors give. No one has given more than $1,000 when you talk about individuals. Because I'm, again, a firm believer that people should be at the center of our government. Their voices should be at the center of what we are doing to make sure that our city grows. I'm the candidate that has put their career on the line to say people need to, one, get involved in our government. People need to make sure that their voices are heard. People are the lifeblood of how we ensure our Omaha residents have a future. Because again, right now, we have a government that pushes people to the side. There's special interests, there's corporate interests. I'm the candidate that's saying no. No more business as usual. We cannot continue to make sure that we have the wealthiest companies come in and say this is how Omaha is going to look. I'm the candidate that's going to say, let's get it done. Let's ensure that our voices are heard. Let's ensure that we have processes in place. Again, participatory budgeting. How does my Omaha look? I want to make sure that that is the forefront of everything that I do for our city. Yes, we have different areas, we have different economic statuses in those areas, but just because someone lives in a different zip code doesn't mean that their vision of the future should be left behind. I'm the candidate that's going to say, what does Omaha look like for you 20, 40, 50 years from now? Let's make sure your children can be proud of that. Let's make sure your grandchildren can be proud of that. And again, let's get it done.
Hey, thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate both of you being open to those questions. The next, I'll read two questions that have come in since we've been talking, both that kind of deal with just how we get around our city. And so I'll pose both of them and you can answer how you see fit. The first one is putting aside the streetcar project. How would you solve the lack of public transportation in the Omaha area? And somewhat relatedly, what plans do we have to make Omaha a more walkable or bikeable city? So again, just kind of getting around. And I think for the moment, we're setting aside the streetcar issue. I think that you all have been asked plenty about that. But just more generally, how do we get around this city, and how do we make public transportation work for Omahans? And we would start this one with Jasmine.
Thank you, Ryan. Again, like you said, setting the streetcar aside because it's a streetcar to nowhere, right? It's not going to serve everybody. You have to make sure that the transportation systems that exist now and that are being created actually work for Omahans. When I look at my family being a one-car family, owning a car is expensive. If you have a car that's actually going to make it to and from Lincoln, because I have to travel to and from Lincoln all the time, getting folks to and from work, to and from school, you have to have a more up-to-date car. And it is expensive to own a car. It's expensive to insure a car. It's expensive to plate a car. When I went into the DMV to get the plates for my car that we got last year, it's almost $3,000. Having to fit that into a budget, everybody doesn't have that. So for me, working with what we have to ensure that it works for everyone. My oldest son, again, 23, and he has to get out to work out on 108th and I. We're North Omaha residents, so that's a 20-minute drive here and from. I went into the metro area transit and typed in, address to and from. It would take literally almost 2.5 hours from him to catch the bus in the morning to get to work. That's unrealistic for a lot of people. And it's 2.5 hours because the last leg of it, from where the bus would drop him off at, he would have to walk 40 minutes from where that bus stop is. So for me, this again isn't like hypothetical. This is what we're living. This is what me and my family are living every day. This is why I know families are struggling to get to and from when the transportation systems that we have. So again, we have the transit authority that has been created. We have to work with them. I am going to work with those individuals. I already have relationships with a few of those individuals who have been elected to that board. One has endorsed me as mayor because we have to make sure that the transit systems that we have now actually connect and work for our city. Yes, the streetcar, we don't want to talk about it, but it's something that is coming. It's going to happen. We have to make sure that streetcar works for people in the downtown area, from Blackstone, Midtown to downtown. We want to increase ridership. I want to work with the transit authority to focus on how do we ensure that public employees are actually riding that, right? It's not just about tourism. If it's going to be up and down that Farnham Street and that corridor, we have to make sure it works for people who work in downtown area. So working to ensure that we have programs in place to increase that ridership. And I want folks to think bigger than where we are right now. We talk about being an international city and a world-class city. But unless we can compete with other cities in our area, it's not going to work. And transportation is key. As being on a part of the Urban League of Nebraska Young Professionals and talking with folks who have moved into our city because of jobs, transportation does not work. There have been relying on transportation in the cities where they come from to Omaha. So we have to make sure that we are looking at how we connect that. Light rail. In 2000, 2001, it was put to a vote of our city council, and the mayor at that time vetoed that. Denver set up their light rail system the same time frame, and Denver has grown exponentially around their light rail system. And being someone who travels to and from Lincoln all the time, and knowing folks who are back and forth to and from Lincoln, a train from Omaha to Lincoln will set our area up. That will bring in revenue. That will address how our transportation is working here. And it will also help us address any of those areas where we don't see jobs being filled. Because if you have a dedicated transportation system to get people to and from, it will make sure that we can fill those positions within our workforce.
Hey, thank you, Jasmine. And John, same question to you about public transportation and
Sure.
walk and bikeability.
Sure. Thank you very much. when I grew up in North Omaha, we actually had a store, Garden Market, where people could walk to the store. We had a drugstore, Lothrop drugstore, where people could walk to the drugstore. What I envision, first of all, is that we will have those type of opportunities in North and South Omaha and West Omaha, Midtown Omaha as well, so that people can walk to the grocery store. People can walk to get a prescription. People can walk to the movie theater. People can walk to do retail shopping. So we've got to build a city that's more friendly and have pods where we can have those type of things, so people don't have to own a car. People don't have to get on a bus. People don't have to ride a bike. They don't have to walk for miles. They can have those things in their neighborhood. That's what people talk to me about when I talk to them about what they want to see in Omaha. When I go knocking doors, that's what people talk to me about. So that's the first thing. We've got to get the basics right. And right now, Omaha doesn't have the basics. They don't have what the people of this community want, what the people of this community are talking about. The second thing is there are a lot of people that ride their bikes. We need to make sure that those people are able to do that safely, that they can ride on the streets and share the streets with vehicles without the risk of being run over or run off the road and all of those type of things. So we've got to develop more dedicated bike lanes so that people can get to and from on a bicycle if that's their chosen mode of transportation. So we've got to see what those people want. We've got to see what routes they want, so we make sure we build a city that works for them as well. When it comes to public transportation didn't work back in the 1970s when I was in high school at Northwest High School, and I had to catch the bus to Emmanuel Hospital, then walk to Northwest High School for football practice for an hour and a half, walk up the hill to Emmanuel Hospital, catch the bus home, catch the bus back to Emmanuel Hospital for the second practice, walk to practice for an hour and a half, and then walk back. That was exhausting, but that's what I had to do in order to play football. Our young people, especially, should not have to do those types of things. They should not have to walk 40 minutes after catching the bus like Jasmine's son would have to do in order to get to a job or get to football practice or whatever it is. We've got to have a public transportation system that works. One of the things I did, because I believe in being proactive, I actually endorsed 3 of the people who ran for the Metro Regional Transit Authority, because I believed it was important to get young people in leadership positions on that particular board. And with those people, I have a relationship where I've had discussions with them about how we can make this system work for the people who need it. When you look at car ownership, no one wants to pay $400 a month for a car, $200 for insurance, $100 for gas, plus registering the vehicle, plus repairs. That's an expensive proposition for young people just starting their careers. And we've got to make this a city where, if we want to retain our young people, that they have an opportunity to move throughout this city without having that expense or having to walk or take 2 hours to get where they're going. We've got to get people where the jobs are, but we've also got to get jobs into our community as well. 68111 is the zip code in the United States that has the highest percentage of employed people working outside their zip code. We've got to change that. We've got to put jobs and do intentional economic development. So if people want to work in their neighborhood and they don't have a vehicle, or they don't want to ride the bus for an hour and a half or 2 hours, that they have an opportunity to be gainfully employed with high wage, living wage jobs, so that they can have this thing we call the good life here in Nebraska. So we have to be very intentional about how we rebuild this city, because this city was built and is very car centric. And we need to begin to change that by looking at how we structure our neighborhoods and making sure that we have those things that people need in their neighborhoods. And part of that is being intentional and making things happen rather than just talking about it. If you look at my career, you will see that I've been very intentional about getting things done and making Omaha a better place. And that's what I'm going to do as your next mayor, is get it done. At the end of the day, nothing matters unless you get stuff done. I've done the work in this community, and I'm going to do it as your next mayor.
Hey, thank you, John. Um, our next question deals with actually the federal government. And the question is that many of us are on edge right now about the Trump administration and the state of our national government. What, if anything, can our mayor and our local government do to protect Omahans from federal overreach? And it's possible that that's something that we haven't stewed on and maybe need some more time to think about. So maybe it'll be a short question, but I wanted to pose it in case there was anything that came to mind. And we'll start with you, John.
Sure. Well, one of the things is I'm always going to resist oppressive, counterproductive, inhumane measures. So when we had the first rally against the what I believe is unfair and possibly illegal immigration reforms that President Trump is trying to do, I was there. I was with the young people from South High School, and I encouraged them, and I told them that I would be with them through whatever happens with what his policies are going to be, whether it's immigration, whether it's looking at taking away benefits from our veterans, whether it's looking at trying to punish cities for not following the rules that he wants to set. I've faced people with knives and guns before. I'm not afraid to stand up to anybody and say, you're wrong. On Saturday, when we had our visit from Governor Walz, I stood on stage and challenged the legislature to keep our blue dot and engage the audience, because I'm not afraid of facing things that I believe are wrong. I believe if we don't do that as leaders, then we're part of the problem. And so I'm always going to stand with the people of this community. I'm always going to stand with the people of this state. I'm always going to fight with them, and I'm always going to fight for them, because that's what I've done all my adult life.
Thank you, John. And Jasmine, same question.
Thank you, Ryan. When I sit here and I see news stories coming in every day about the executive orders that are being handed down, I get I get this sense of protectiveness. Right now, in my job as a policy advocate and director, I am down at the legislature working for people who have been marginalized and pushed to the sides, people who have felt like they have been thrown away by everybody else in society. And that's what I feel like is happening right now when we talk about our federal government and Doge coming in and saying, you can't do this, this needs to be eliminated, all the things. On my son's basketball team, there's a parent who works for the military. And to hear that she's getting those emails to say, how have you been productive this week? It makes me again say, I will not stand for that, because these people mean so much to me. I've been on the front lines, on the forefront, fighting for people's rights for a long time. I don't do it as an elected official. I don't do it as a paid position. When I was out as a young professional saying, how can we make sure our Black and Brown communities know how our government works, how they can get involved? That's what I was doing. I was making sure people had their information, education, the ability to be registered to vote, to make sure that they can stand up to what's coming down now. When I fought last year to get over 7,000 Nebraskans their right to vote back and not have it eliminated, with over tens of thousands more because the Secretary of State wanted to follow something that came from a national government. We said no, and we stood the line and we held it to make sure that people have the ability to have their voices heard and their votes counted when it comes to our national government. So when I am mayor of Omaha, it's going to be no different. I fight every day for people. That's why I'm running to be the mayor for the people of Omaha because I know how important it is for their daily lives to make sure that the government isn't overtaking what they have worked so hard to gain. I know right now we sit in this crux where we did not see the outcome that we wanted in the November election. And there was this apathy of folks saying, my vote doesn't matter, my vote doesn't count. And we've heard it over the years, but in that point in time, it was really thick. And I say to people then, and I say to people now, especially those who have regained their voting rights back, if it didn't matter, they wouldn't fight so hard against what we believe in and what we stand for. So I know how important it is to stand in the gap for people because I do it every day of what I do. Because we need someone who's going to stand up to speak truth to power, to say we will not fall in line for things that are not right for our people. So for me, again, I get up every day to say, how can I ensure that I am working to work with folks and make their lives better? And it's going to be no different as mayor of Omaha. I will take that into that position because, again, it's not about the title. It's about ensuring that we are continuing the movement that says the people are the most important parts of our city, and that's what we'll do.
Thank you, Jasmine. We have a lot of questions that have come in, but I apologize to the viewers. I won't be able to get to all of them, but I really want to be respectful of the candidates' time and our viewers' time, and commit to being done by 7:30. So I'll ask one last question, and then we'll open it up for your any concluding remarks that you want to make. But the last question just deals with the path to victory. There are a lot of people who have tremendous respect for you, John, tremendous respect for you, Jasmine, and they'd be very happy to see either of you win, but mostly they want to see a path to victory. Jean Stothert is running for her fourth term. She's proven to be very resilient, very tough to beat. And in the last election, her Democratic challenger lost by about 30 points. What is the recipe or the secret sauce that you present that gives Democrats a chance to beat her in the general election? And I guess we'll start with this one with Jasmine.
Thanks, Ryan. Again, I ran in 2021. I was 1,100 votes shy, going up against someone who everyone, again, when it came down to money, right? Who can raise the most money? A lot of times, money doesn't matter. And we saw that with that one. What it means for me is that you all know who I am as a person and what I stand for. The adage goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. I stand for the people of Omaha. I'm a native born Omahan and I love this city. What I love more is the people of this city and ensuring that they are centered, that they have their voices heard as we are moving this forward. So when we talk about what can you bring to the table, what is the pathway to victory? For me, it's all about the people. People want change. They don't want business as usual. We've heard a lot about Gene Stothard being gone from the city, not being here to address the issues that people are facing, about having all of the corporate interest being center for her. I am the candidate who has been in the community, who has been boots on the ground, front lines. When we talk about listening to people, when we talk about interacting with people, when we talk about getting people involved in our processes of how the city works, about how our state works, I've been doing this for a long time. All of my work has been around community education, community embetterment. My pathway to victory is through actual people, not because they feel like that we have to win a seat, but because they believe that I can win the seat and that I am the right person for right now. So, as a person who was coming in, as a candidate who was coming in with fresh vision, fresh eyes, I can provide the opportunity for folks to say, I believe that she is actually going to center me and what I bring to the table and what others like me are saying, and make sure that there's a solution that we can all agree upon. Because it's about common ground. It's not about compromise. We have to make sure we have a candidate in that office who's going to get to the common ground for all folks and not compromising our values along the way. That's my pathway.
Thank you, Jasmine. And John, same question. What's the pathway for a win for you?
Sure. Thank you, Ryan. One of the things people have to understand about me is this: I have had over 684,000 total votes during my time running for elected office. That is more than 3 times all of the other candidates combined, including the mayor. I have had the highest vote total in the last 2 election cycles, where I received 15,000 more votes than the closest person in 2022 and 2,000 more votes in 2018. So the pathway to victory, just like for Jasmine, for me, is people. The reality is the vast majority of the money, in fact, all of it but $10,000 that I've raised, has come from individual donors. So I have a strong base of individual donors who have supported me, even though we have 2 Democrats running. I also have a number of organizations that are looking to endorse me and are looking to provide hundreds of thousands of dollars to support me once I get through the primary. The pathway to victory is having people believe that I am the change that they want to see. And I believe that is true because they continue to vote for me time after time after time because of the great work I've done as the Douglas County Treasurer. But when you talk about boots on the ground, I've been doing this work for 43 years with boots on the ground every day, trying to make this a better city for the people of this community. And that's what I've been doing by reducing gun violence. That's what I've been doing by trying to create programs to help our young people be successful academically. That's what I've been doing when I look at decent and affordable housing. I've done the work. That's what I look at when I've done the work doing homeless and unsheltered folks, working in organizations and building capacity and putting my name on the line every day to help them raise funds to be able to deliver the services that they need to deliver. And I have the relationships with those folks to increase their capacity and help them be able to serve the people of this community. That's what the people of this community want to see. That's why I'm going to win this race, because people believe in me, because they understand this simple truth. The best indicator of future performance is recent past performance, and I've done it. I'm going to have the resources to be able to compete on a financial basis. I have the background, I have the experience, and I've done the work. If you like what I've done as treasurer, you'll love what I'm going to do as mayor, because I have the experience to get done what I'm talking about. So thank you all for the time today, but the path to victory is your support and voting for me on April 1st.
Thank you, John. And now I'm a little fearful that that question basically set up the closing remarks, or maybe both of those sounded like a beautiful way to close. But I do want to give you a chance, if there's anything that you wish I would have asked but I didn't, or anything that you want to say in closing, this will be our last chance for that. And we'll start with John and then Jasmine, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you both.
Sure, I'll be very brief. I believe that I am the right person at the right time to provide the change that the people of this community are looking for. I've been a change agent my entire career. That's why I did the things getting the 10 laws passed for women and children. There were lieutenants before me who saw the same things, and they didn't do anything about it. They accepted it. I said our women and children need to be protected from perpetrators who would try to strangle them, who would try to sexually assault them, who would do things to them that were being treated as misdemeanors when they should have been felonies. I stepped in the gap for them and got those 10 laws passed in one legislative session. I was only there for 17 months and I got that done. When we had that first meeting for me as a deputy chief, I was the one that spoke up and said, this is not how we should be doing policing in Omaha, Nebraska. And I fought in that office with those other deputy chiefs and the chief until they agreed that this is how we were going to do policing. Sometimes it's not about common ground, it's about what's right. And I'm always going to stand for what's right. That's who I am. That's what I've done. When it came time to risk my career and pulled the Omaha Police Department kicking and screaming into the efforts with the Empowerment Network, I said, we're going to do this. And I said to the chief, I said, Chief, I'm going to do this. Am I doing it as a volunteer or am I doing it representing the police department? He gave me the opportunity to represent the police department. We listened to the people of this community Saturday after Saturday for 52 weeks. And then we took and implemented what they wanted when it comes to policing in Omaha, Nebraska. I've got a proven track record of listening and getting it done. So thank you all for your time today. I hope I can count on your support on April 1st. I'm the guy that will get it done for you and who will listen to you.
Thank you, John. And Jasmine, same to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for everyone who tuned in this evening. Omaha is at a critical moment for the fight of its future. We have had politicians step into this role as mayor and who have not addressed the issues that are impacting our family, friends, and neighbors. I'm not a politician. I am someone who lives through this daily. I'm someone who said our current elected officials are not getting it done. How can we as community come and say, get it done for us? As an advocate at the legislature, with my work during policy advocacy and my public health profession, I see how much more can get done at a local level. So me running for office again isn't a fly-by-night situation. It is taking everything that I have done and learned over this past 15 years and saying, I am a leader of people. Although what I've done may not impact your life, it has impacted people's lives in the generations that will follow them. That's what I do. I look towards the future. And right now, Omaha's future does not include everyone. I'm running to be the mayor for the people of Omaha to ensure that Omaha works for them and their children and their children's children. Again, I am here to say, how can we center people? How can we ensure their voices are heard? And how can we ensure Omaha works for them? As I'm talking with people out in the community, one thing that rings true and clear is that our current elected officials do not listen. They do not get it done. So what you need in the mayoral's office right now is someone who puts aside everything except what matters to everyday lives. How is this city going to work for them? That's what I bring as mayor. Vote for me April 1st. I know a lot of you have already have your mind made up and you're here just to listen to what we have to say. When one of us advances into the general, support whoever it is that advances to the general, because it's going to be better than what's there now, and it's going to be better than what is being presented from, and I'm going to say it, Mike McDonald. But I truly believe I am the candidate for right now in this moment because I have fresh eyes and a fresh vision that will propel us to become that international world-class city that we talk about. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine, for wrapping us up at 7:30 on the dot. I just have a couple very brief thanks. I want to start by saying thank you to my good friend, Django Greenblatt C. When I volunteered to do this a couple weeks ago, I had no idea technically, logistically, how we were going to pull it off. And I, for some reason, committed to a date without that. But Django jumped in last week and figured it out for us. So thank you, Django, for I want to thank the members of the Blue Dot Energy Group for being attentive and for caring and for wanting to be a proactive part of seeing the change that we want to make in our community. If and when one of these candidates advances past April 1st, we need to come behind them. Like Jasmine said, we need to come back behind them financially, with our time, with our talents, with our word of mouth. And lastly, I want to thank you, Jasmine Harris, and thank you, John Ewing. Thank you for your dedication to our community. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, your creativity, your generosity with your time. And thank you also to your families for supporting you. We know it's a family affair when someone steps into the ring at something like this. So I just offer you my tremendous and sincere, heartfelt appreciation and gratitude for wanting to be our next mayor. And we'll do our very best to make that happen. Thank you all. This will be available shortly after we're done for recording for anybody who wants to share the link. But let's go support terrific Democratic leaders in our community. And thank you all. As I look at my window that's open right now and think about the fact that there's supposed to be a blizzard overnight, I'm still trying to figure that out. But stay safe and stay warm to you all. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Ryan, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Django.
Thank you, Jado. And thank you all for taking your time to listen today.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye, you all.